Hi, Mike. How you doing? It's Christmas. Getting close to
Hey,
Christmas again.
Merry Christmas, Rob, and Happy Festivus if you celebrate.
Yes, I am wearing my official Christmas sweater that I wore to the party that I went to in
Nice.
Texas. Yes, it made me feel very festive.
Yes. That
Yeah.
Texas party sounded like a whole other world.
They had a pre-party party, not so much party going
Hmm.
on. I guess last year would have been a little bit more exciting. This year they implemented the one coupon per drink limit.
Oh,
In the past, it was just open bar.
I think that's a good move to limit excessive DUIs.
Yes,
They're going to have a couple. There are going to be a few, but you don't want, 20% DUI rate.
the Christmas party's on a Thursday night, and they're
Hmm.
open on Friday. And I guess it's kind of one of those badge of honor to
Hmm.
show up at work like you had a good time. It's what it is.
Yeah.
So this is the podcast after the Seattle annihilation. That was pretty fun too.
Yeah.
Remember earlier in the 20s when Rodgers was just kind of getting himself going? The Packers would be up by like 3 touchdowns by halftime or 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It's
That-
starting to feel like that a little bit. Man, to like start off on the first drive and score a touchdown, how exciting is that? And then get the ball back and do it again. How would you describe like your feelings of joy?
Well, it was sort of like backseat back in 1979 at Rufus King High School, but I don't want to digress and talk too much about that era of interscholastic football. But when Jordan Love is moving like he's moving right now, it is kind of reminiscent of Rodgers when he was just starting to get sort of his juice and confidence and lack of drama on obviously the time killing drives, but on the scoring drives as well.
I don't know if I ever felt the way that Jordan Love plays. I mean, he just takes these shots and it's like,
Yeah.
how many times can that work? I mean, it works every time, whether it's a catch or it's a pass interference penalty.
I think about going back to that Dallas game late last year when he had that fly ball Romeo brought down on his back with like two or three guys hanging around. I was like, yeah, Brett Favre used to get away with that. Rodgers would have never,
Throwing the ball.
he would have taken a sack or dinked it.
If you watched any of the Jets game or followed it all today, but they are totally imploding. How much bad can it get for them? They have Charlie Brown as their kicker. The first time he goes out there to kick the extra point, wide right.
Really? Oh my God.
They were ahead. They were beating the Rams for a while there. And then it came to the fourth quarter, time for the Jets to try to mount a comeback. They got to fourth down and then they get an illegal procedure, something penalty. And so
Mm,
they're back 5 more and they decide to throw Charlie Brown out there for at least 3 points. Of course, Charlie Brown whiffs it again and it goes wide right again.
hmm.
What little hope the Jets have here is still there's still like a little ember. The Rams punt the ball and they muff it and
Uh,
fumble it on the 10-yard line.
oh my God.
This is how it felt to be a Packer fan in the 80s for sure, man.
Right.
It's like every time there's like that little glimmer of hope. Oh, a 5-yard penalty. All right, well, all right. No, let's kick the
Yeah.
field goal. Oh, they missed that. Oh, okay. Well, defensive stops. Oh, muff the punt. It's like 3 car crashes in a row. It's
I don't know. Do you fire a replacement coach with 2 games left? That's bad.
I don't know. I think so.
Let him go.
Okay. So, all right, let's talk about the Packers. All right. So I thought the thing to do is I wanted to compare J Love. Now we talked a little bit about Aaron Rodgers, and I thought that it would be good to compare the first 2 years against prior quarterbacks. So what I would do is go back to the 80s. Now, if you talk to anyone who is born after 90 or 19 whatever, they have no idea how bad it was to be a Packer fan back in the 80s at all. They've had Brett Favre, they had Aaron Rodgers, and now they have Jordan Love. There was a pretty dark time there in the past for the Packers. So I thought, well, let's compare Jordan Love against the 3 quarterbacks before Rodgers and Favre.
Hmm.
And that would be Lynn Dickey, Randy Wright, and Magic Man. So I'm looking at Lynn Dickey. The first year that he became the starter, he had already played 8 years in the NFL.
Mm.
He kind of gets a little bit of an advantage that any other quarterback would have had. We were watching Lynn Dickey in definitely in 1981. That was exciting fun. I mean, we were excited about Lynn Dickey playing, but he really didn't do that well. I mean, he played 13 games and scored 17 touchdowns. He still had 15 interceptions. The whole concept of touchdowns and interceptions was really kind of a close number for any quarterback at that time. And now everyone expects that the interception number to be like a fraction of whatever the number of touchdowns are. You can see that with J Love in the second year. He's kind of getting near 30. He's got like twice as many touchdowns as INTs and in a number of sacks too. Did we ever think that Randy Wright was a good quarterback?
No, Randy Wrong was always wrong. Even when he was a Badger, he was not great. He had Al Toon, and that got him into the NFL.
He played a full year in 1986 and scored 17 touchdowns. That's not bad if you don't look at that as 23 interceptions.
Ouch. 33 sacks.
Magic Man was like the savior of that era of quarterback. Even in the first year he started, he had 27 touchdowns, which is pretty exciting for Packer fans. But he still had 20 interceptions and 47 sacks. So this is a new thing for us, right? All of a sudden, you got a guy who can actually throw a touchdown pass. It was amazing.
Yeah.
We really dumbed ourselves down as fans, didn't we?
Yeah, that's for sure.
In his first year as a starter, he had 4,318 yards passing. Was that Sterling Sharp that he was passing to? Who was?
What about Paul Kaufman?
Paul Kaufman could have been the Don Majkowski years, but I actually think this is kind of early
Sterling. Maybe Robert Brooks
might have been, and Paul Kaufman I think was probably, you're right, or Ed West. I mean, one of those guys.
Oh yeah, right.
And then we had all those great running backs like Eddie Lee Ivory,
Jerry Ellis,
the light bulb, GE, yes. So that's comparing Jordan Love. Obviously, Jordan Love is way better than these other three quarterbacks ever were.
Yeah.
I think it's good to compare Jordan against Brett and Aaron. It's a much more reasonable comparison. Aaron Rodgers had that rough year. His first year he came out, I remember how many people really got on him about how poor he played that first year. He was in the crapper.
Yeah. Although, I was going to say, not bad for yardage, not a bad TD interception ratio, but he must not have been scoring points.
Looking at Brett Favre, again, we think we just have another mediocre, nothing exciting here quarterback. And then he had that 1994 year. Trying to remember those years, I still looked at Brett Favre as being just like the next guy. Even though he was great, he had that great arm and he was exciting to play and he jumped around a lot. I never really thought that he was going to turn into a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, up until the point that he chucked that ball to Sterling Sharp against the Lions, and everyone was like, "Holy crap!" But again, that was just sort of like almost, well, it was a Hail Mary, I guess. But you're right, I didn't feel like he was the next big thing
until all of a sudden everyone else was saying he was the next big thing.
Yeah, then I said, yeah, I agree. He is the next big thing. And I thought of it initially, but didn't say anything out loud. But I'd still like to be included in the company of the people who said it.
I was still not sure. It's just like I expected going into every weekend we're going to lose. And then if we won, it was like, oh, okay, I'll take that. Everyone was still pretty high on Don Majkowski. I think there was an expectation that Don Majkowski was just like, he got injured a lot. Just to see him roll over and flail and be taken out of the game wasn't like something we didn't already expect. Brett Favre didn't have much of a year before. This is only his second year. So having him out there playing, okay, he's our quarterback. Right. You're really going to do this? No, you're not going to do this. Right. Mike Holmgren knew something more than we did. I mean, I have to say that staff that Mike Holmgren had, you think all the guys that Andy Reid was on it, and you had Gruden, so many people on that Packer staff that first year that turned out to end up being coaches or head coaches or offensive coordinators for other teams for decades. He created this corral of coaches that were just all outstanding. And
well, let's not forget his professional career was as a teacher prior to climbing the ladder in the NFL. And
all right, now that we're getting into the crunch time, injured players are starting to come back. One of the injured players that might actually play this week is Trips.
Trips. Oh, yeah.
He was like coming along. He's partially been practicing this week.
Has he been practicing his falls so he can get down quickly and efficiently on the ground?
I hope so. I have to think that he's been perfecting his game, having coming off that first year.
Yeah, the stumble and roll was looking good last year, kind of like a I'm on fire kind of drill when he would get touched on the hip or something.
What I did is to relive some of those moments. So I have three examples of that. So the first one here is against the Rams. This is
Hmm.
pretty typical where
Yeah,
Trips is wide open, the ball is
right.
coming to him, and the guy closest to him is 5 yards away. There's no doubt at all that the ball coming at him is going to end up getting there eventually.
Oops.
He didn't really line up very well with the ball. He kind of undercut his route a little bit, so he had to reach
Yeah.
up for it. The ref right there is ready to blow the whistle because he's expecting an incomplete ball or something like.
Oh,
He,
situation going a little bit out of control there.
the other leg is in the air.
Yeah. Oh,
When you don't have either leg underneath you, the ground is the next thing that you end up running into. This is kind of the end of the play.
I'm safe, he's saying. I'm in my safe zone.
He kind of rolls towards the out of grounds marker. Now, the guy number 59 never really had to do much. He just kind of
No.
watched it all happen. Maybe it could have been late in the game, and
He's got a nice grip on the ball there, by the way.
so you may not necessarily know the scheme at that, oh, you're supposed to run into the end zone. All he knows is just catch the ball and roll on the ground.
Hmm.
So here's another one. This is against the Steelers. Again, wide open.
Nice. Yeah.
It's got like three guys kind of zeroing in on him. Maybe you can't see it, but in the upper right hand corner,
Oh, I see the ball. Yeah,
there
look
it
at
is.
that.
He's
Wow.
all he has to do is just follow the path of the ball, and you're
Hmm.
good to go here.
Yeah.
He does actually get a
Oh,
good catch, but rather than having your legs planted in a secure way,
yeah. Parallel, maybe.
yeah, the X on the leg position isn't
Yeah.
necessarily going to allow you to run forward very quickly. He's still wide open. He has the ball, and again, nobody's 5 yards even close to him. And
Oh.
without even being touched, he
Oh.
realizes that the cross leg running forward move was not going to work.
I would hate to see this guy on a ski hill. He is so top heavy. I don't get it. Doing some kind of a yoga stretch, Warrior 2.
It's like he already
Tricky.
knows he's going to hit the ground, so he's already preparing the rest of his body for it.
Yeah.
Just a matter of it happening.
I have an observation.
Yes.
His excellent ball security, he's doing a trade-off here because he might, if he had one of his arms like stretched out to like counterbalance and just keep the ball in one hand. Let's just see the next slide. This is going to be brutal. Oh, they caught up to him while he was doing his Warrior 2. Yeah.
He was leveraging his abilities and not necessarily playing to the scheme.
He's his own boss, is what I would say. Not concerned about how Tucker Kraft or Kelsey is doing it. Very admirable.
I think I got one more here.
This looks doable, though.
He doesn't realize it, but number 29 is in position.
Yeah, he's thinking, oh, fuck, touchdown.
Yeah, he's ready to make the play, not knowing that he is.
Right. He's gutting it out or running it out. What do they say in baseball when you hit a grounder and you know you're going to? Anyway, 29 is playing it correctly.
Not taking no for an answer.
He's now 29 is saying, so you say there's a chance? Just like in Dumb and Dumber.
His left leg is a little bit out of position. His right leg seems planted weird on a little twist there, but he might think he'd be able to salvage this. Unfortunately, when the turf monster showed up, 29 is still trying to. He says, "Oh wait, I can still make the tackle here."
Yeah, I better get over there. Oh,
These are just the exciting memories Trips had for us last year of how much fun it was to watch him play. Other than that, I just have the home stretch. I'm worried about the Saints game tomorrow. Could be a trap game. What do you think?
No.
Okay.
I'll be going to the game and cheering on the Pack from the 50-yard line, ninth row behind the Packer bench, and I'll be sure to yell out some comments and give some claps for Trips and get everybody excited. So I think we're going to handily beat the Saints.
After this game, we have the Vikings and then we have the Bears. I think the Vikings game is the game that we got to get it right and win. Like we lost that Lions game. Even though we lost the game for like 3 points, did it feel like we lost by 3 points?
No.
It felt like we lost by 2 touchdowns.
You know, you could say, wow, why didn't they start hot like they did against Seattle? And I'm like, well, it's the Detroit Lions at home defense, like fired up and ready to kill. I was okay with that.
Man, I mean, we lost that Bears game. We think of everything just going great because we just beat a team like Seattle who's really hurting. But, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, whatever, God went out there and won that game for us. But I still think that game was lost.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the Vikings?
As a team, I think they're so close to the Pack in terms of potentially getting deep into the playoffs. But at the same time, I think that they're due for a little downward trend.
I think that the one X factor for the Vikings, Who's their wide receiver?
Jefferson.
All the times that the Packers have beat the Vikings, he was always out, except for this last game that he played. He was in, and he played really well. Without having Jair out there to negate some of his ability, it's kind of scary to think that he could win the game for them.
Yeah, they said that about DK Metcalf in the Seattle game, and I don't know. They figured out a way in that secondary to get enough something.
I think the thing that won the game for the Packers on the defensive side is the pass rush. That's something that we may not see against the Vikings. Don't know if we can put that kind of pass rush together against the Vikings. If we do, then yeah, all bets are off. The other thing I want to ask you about is it advantageous for the Packers to play in Lambeau Field, or are they better off playing when it's warmer or indoors?
Young, speedy team, warm and indoors.
Everyone says, oh yeah, I'm playing Lambeau and 0 degrees, wind chill, it's frozen tundra. It's like the Packers will be better off playing on somebody else's turf in a warmer environment.
Underdog status, yeah.
Let the other team have the home field advantage when it comes to the fan thing. I think even if we had like ice cold frozen tundra, this is not the Packer team that can win that game.
I gave up on that perceived advantage when Brett Favre got all chilly against the Giants, choked that game.
The Giants came out with no shirts on. The Packers were the ones that looked cold.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of the Rams. I don't know about the Eagles. I know they got Saquon Barkley, and he played really well against the Packers in the first game of the year. I just don't know if that Packer team is the same Packer team that we have now. Yeah, I guess the two teams I don't necessarily want to see in the first round are the Eagles or the Lions.
Yeah, give us Tampa Bay.
You want to see Baker Mayfield?
Yeah, I want to see if he'll take the flag and put it in the 50-yard line and spike it down. Oh, wait, they won't be at Lambeau.
All right. Well, other than that, Mike, I appreciate you coming up.
All right, man.
We could too bad we can't have John with us this time, but Christmas is Christmas.
And Merry Christmas to you and to all the fans of Packers Soup.
All right, we'll talk to you later.